So hopefully you can see the financial aid presentation. And first I'll start off by introducing myself. I am Libby Gregg, and I am the Director of the Office of New Student Engagement. And so what I do is I work with the students once they are committed to Lees-McRae College, and that means that they plan to enroll here in the fall. So once you are admitted to Lees-McRae College, I will help you through all your next steps. All right, so we're gonna go on to our next slide. And we're just gonna go over tonight, we're gonna discuss verification. What is it and what do I have to do if I am selected? Steps to receiving your financial aid offer, how to read your financial aid offer, and returning your financial aid offer. So, and then we'll wrap up this evening with a question and answer session. You may begin to type questions into the chat feature, and please be sure to include your email address. If we run out of time and are not able to get to your question, we will email you a response. This evening's guest speaker is Karen King. She is our Director of Financial Aid and knows everything about financial aid that you could possibly need to know, and will be able to help us out this evening. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Karen in. So Karen, I'm just going to have you unmute. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Got a few more people coming in here. So well, I'll go on to the first slide, Karen, and you can take it away.
Okay, so as Libby mentioned, verification, approximately 30% of FAFSA applications are selected for verification each year by the Department of Education. So you may not have been selected and this may not apply to you, but I always like to mention it just in case your student was selected. It does not mean that you've done anything wrong. It's a fraud prevention measure, so they just randomly select applications and we have to verify what was reported. So once we get the notification that the FAFSA was selected, we will get in touch with the student, and we try to also copy the parent when we email the student if a parent provided an email address on the FAFSA. So we'll send an email and mail a letter home to the home address. Madison Vance, who works in my office, is our verification specialist. So the letter and the email would come from her if you are selected. So it's just something that you would have to complete before we can move forward with a financial aid offer, because we have to verify what you've reported in order to move forward. So once you've been selected and we've communicated with you, the ball is in your court, so to speak, until you get us what we've requested. So be sure to respond to any requests from the financial aid office. Next slide.
Yeah.
Okay, to receive a financial aid offer at Lees-McRae, you must first be admitted to the college. So I believe everyone who is on the call tonight has been admitted, but that is a required step. So you have to be admitted to Lees-McRae and complete that admissions file. Then you also need to file the 2021 to 2022 FAFSA application and use the Lees-McRae school code of 002939. So if you don't add Lees-McRae to your FAFSA, we do not have access to it. We can't just go out and search and find it. So if you have filed the 21-22 FAFSA and perhaps you added several other schools and you've decided now you need to add Lees-McRae, you can go back to your FAFSA, select Make Changes or Make Corrections to a previously submitted FAFSA, and then navigate to the section where the schools are listed and include Lees-McRae. Then you need to remember to resubmit the FAFSA. If you just save and exit, it doesn't go any further. So you do need to go all the way to the end and submit for it to go through the central processor and to allow us access. Once we have your FAFSA, if it is not selected for verification and or if you've completed the verification process as we've instructed you step by step, then once your file is complete, we mail the financial aid offer to the home address on file for the student. And it's in a large mailing folder. And the little image there on the screen is what the folder looks like. It's got a picture of campus on the front and then the address on the back. And it says where the address is, it tells you the financial aid offer is enclosed. Please open immediately, response required. So respond to any requests from the financial aid office and complete all the forms that we've asked. Next slide, please. Once you receive your financial aid offer, it looks like this. This is just a mock-up version that we're providing for this purpose. So toward the top of it, well, let's start at the very top. So we've dated it, the date it's printed, and then we have a respond by date. So we request that you respond by that date. We can give an extension if you need one. So that is absolutely not an issue at all. But we just ask that you respond quickly so that for budgeting purposes, we kind of know where we stand with scholarships as far as offering to additional students in the future. And then on toward the middle of the page, we have the cost of attendance. So you'll see the tuition fees, room and board listed there, and then the total cost for the year. So that's total standard charges for the student. That includes the textbook rental fee. That's room and board. So room is the dorm room, board is the meal plan, which includes unlimited dining in our cafeteria, plus the decline in balance for Einstein's Bagels or the pod in the library. So they have a decline in balance on their ID card as well that's covered with that board plan. So you'll see the total charges there, that's standard cost. So if your student, once they are registered, if they perhaps take a biology class, there may be additional fees for that. So there could be supplies or lab fees depending on what your student is registered to take. So this is not actual charges. This is standard costs for your planning purposes. Then as you look on down the page, the offers will be listed here. So it's broken up into the columns between fall and spring semester. Then you have the total column, that's for the year. So our total charges toward the top is for the academic year. So that's for both fall and spring semester, that total. So when we're looking at financial aid, we planned for the entire academic year. In the offers, you're going to see any scholarships or grants that the student has been offered, as well as direct loans. So the direct loans are student loans. They are in the student's name. They are federal loans from the Department of Education. Then on toward the bottom in the box, you'll see the Parent Plus loan offer. So this is a federal loan in a parent's name. And I get this question often. Sometimes a parent will call and say, well, the math doesn't look right, because if it costs $40,440 and then I subtract what the student offers are, then it looks like there's an extra $1,000 on the parent loan. And that's true. We offer an extra $1,000 there as a cushion in case your student does have additional course fees that you want to plan ahead and just have that built-in little bit of extra. Also, there are loan origination fees, which come from all the loans before they are applied to the student account. So currently the student origination fee is 1.057% of the amount borrowed. So that's deducted from the student loans before it comes to Lees-McRae to be applied to their account. And on the Parent Plus loan, the origination fee is 4.228% of the amount borrowed. So you're welcome to do your own math. You don't have to borrow all that we've offered. That's completely up to you. So, and you can also request more. If you think you need more, you can request more. There is, of course, a limit, but you can request a little more if you need to plan for additional charges. And then, of course, at the bottom, there's the student signature. So before it's returned to us, make sure it's signed. Next slide, please. On the back of the financial aid offer, you should see the student loan acceptance form. So if the student accepted the direct loans on the front of the financial aid offer, we do need them to complete the back of the offer as well, saying, yes, I understand I'm borrowing money and I understand it needs to be repaid. That's pretty much what this form says. And it also lists the next steps. So these steps are required before the student loans will disperse to pay the student account. The student needs to visit studentaid.gov to complete entrance counseling and the master promissory note. Entrance counseling takes approximately 20 minutes, so it needs to be done when the student has some time to sit at the computer. The student will log in with his or her FSA ID, not the parent. So it has to be done in the student's login. And the purpose is to explain to the student, you are borrowing loans, these are your rights and responsibilities. It makes sure the student understands what's going on. So it's not intended to be done by the parent on behalf of the student. The student really needs to be the one to do this. And then the master promissory note is the legal binding agreement that says, yes, I will repay this loan. So both those steps are required before the loans will disperse to the student account. The Parent Plus loan also has its own form. So if a parent chooses to accept the Parent Plus loan that was offered on the financial aid offer, we also need the parent to complete this form and return it to us. The parent also has some next steps. They're kind of small, but it's there printed at the top of the page. So the parent uses that parent's FSA ID to log in and complete the application process, and then the master promissory note or loan agreement for the Parent Plus loan. So make sure that the parent is who's logging in, and it needs to be the same parent who completes this form. So if mom completes and returns the form and then dad does a master promissory note, it's not going to link and disperse to the student account. It has to be the same parent because it's going to search for that social security number to link. When you go on to do the application process at studentaid.gov, right now, the 2021 to 22 year application is not yet available, and I'm not sure why it's delayed each year, but it's usually mid-April before they update it to the next academic year. But it is okay to go ahead and do the 2020 to 2021 application process online. When we originate the loan, we will originate it for the appropriate year, and it will still link to your application for the 20 to 21 year. And what the 2021 application process does is it runs your credit check, and it will give you an immediate response if you are approved or declined for the Parent Plus loan. So you can go ahead and do that now, or you can wait till it's approximately mid-April when they'll roll it forward. If you would prefer to wait, you can, but it really does the same thing. So you can go ahead and do the 20 to 21 application process and get your immediate credit response. Also, we need that, I should have mentioned, we need that form back or I will not originate a loan. So if you go on studentaid.gov and complete your application process, you complete your master promissory note, it goes no further unless I get this paper form back, because that's what signifies to me that you intend to borrow, and that's why I originate your loan by. So all those steps are required. Thank you, Libby. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if your student was offered the North Carolina need-based scholarship on the financial aid offer, then they have some next steps for that as well. If the North Carolina need-based scholarship was not on the financial aid offer, then this does not apply to your student. It requires that the student be a resident of North Carolina for over a year, and the parent as well. It follows the parent's residency in order to be eligible. Also, they have to, it's need-based, so it is dependent on the family's expected family contribution as determined by the FAFSA. So if your student qualified for the North Carolina need-based scholarship, they would have received these documents in their financial aid package as well. So the pink sheet, I just want to mention, because from year to year, parents and students seem to forget this, and then they seem surprised when the scholarship gets adjusted. If your student takes at least 15 credit hours each semester, this scholarship is worth $1,000 extra. So when we send the financial aid offer, we assume that the student will take advantage of that, and we offer the higher amount on this scholarship on the assumption that they will take 15 credit hours a semester. At the end of drop add, we have to go make adjustments. So if your student during drop add decides they only want to be in 12 credit hours, they lose $500 for that semester in the scholarship. So I don't want it to catch anyone off guard. I want you to be aware right up front that it's worth $500 more per semester if your student is in at least 15 credit hours each semester. So that's important for the student to remember. Also, the student needs to complete the residency determination service. and that's done at ncresidency.org. That's all detailed in the green sheet that would have been included in the packet. So what that does is it searches other North Carolina databases. So it may ask for a license plate or your driver's license number or some type of personal information like that to confirm that you are a resident of the state of North Carolina. And it can take several days to validate through those state databases. So we can't wait till last minute to do this step. So if they've been offered the North Carolina Need-Based Scholarship, these are important things to remember. So when you finished completing your financial aid paperwork, you can scan and upload it to us in a secure file drop method. That link was also provided in the cover letter that was included in the financial aid packet, because that cover letter also explains how to return it to us. Our fax number is provided there, and also you can mail it to the attention of the financial aid office. So our address and everything is here on this slide. And I suppose we are now ready for the question and answer section.
Yeah, so, okay. Can you all hear me? I can't.
Yes.
Okay, great. So, so we have been recording, so you are going to be able to go back and listen to anything that Karen Sheridan walked through during the presentation. And if you would like, we are going to start with the pre-submitted questions, and then we are going to turn over to any questions submitted in the chat. Don't forget that if you would like to include your email address, we're happy to send you a response as well. So start with our first question. Karen, the question that was submitted was asking, could you please explain the difference between a subsidized loan and an unsubsidized loan?
Sure. Both of those loans are in the student's name. They are federal student direct loans. Subsidized means that the interest is paid by the Department of Education while the student is enrolled at least half-time in a degree-seeking program. So that one, subsidized, is interest-free. It is a need-based type of loan. So it is going to depend on your FAFSA for eligibility. But that one is interest-free while the student is enrolled. And then unsubsidized will begin accruing interest from the date it disperses to pay the student account, which is always just before classes begin each semester.
Okay, so on the same line of the loans, direct loan or the Parent Plus loan, can you cancel a loan after accepting it? And if you can, when do you have to decide to cancel it by?
You can. So if you have accepted loans on your paperwork, sent that back, that's wonderful, because we do like to plan ahead and go ahead and get that paperwork. If you change your mind, if, for example, the student receives a scholarship and you need to change your amount or completely cancel the loan, you may certainly do that, but we have to have your request in writing, which can be an email to me. So I just have to have written documentation for your file stating that you are requesting that we cancel the loan. And it has to be the borrower who requests it. So if mom wanted the plus loan, dad can't then email and say, let's cancel it. It needs to be mom, the borrower. Or change the amount, either way, but we do have to have written documentation that you are requesting it. The borrower is requesting it. Same thing with the student loan. If the student decides they no longer need to borrow, I need the email from the student to say, please cancel my loans, or please reduce my loan to this many dollars. It needs to be specific. This, as soon as possible, is best so that we can get it corrected as quickly as we can. I need to know at least by 2 weeks before classes start in order to get it canceled or adjusted in time so that it doesn't disperse to the student account and then we have to return funds. So as soon as possible, as soon as you decide you need to change your mind, it's best to let us know immediately.
On the same line of direct loans, and I'm going to throw in Parent Plus loans too, can you begin paying on your loan while you're in school rather than waiting until after you graduate? And
yes, there is no penalty to pay it early. So you certainly may. Lots of parents choose to go ahead and pay on their student loans while the student is in school. If your student has both subsidized and unsubsidized, I would suggest you pay the unsubsidized first, simply because it's the one accruing interest. You know, but then you can start tackling the subsidized as well if you have that capability. But there is no penalty to pay them early on any of those types of loan.
Okay, this next question, they write, we have a Parents Plus loan for our eldest son already. I think we would like our future Bobcat to apply for his own loan. The subsidized loan offer we received on his financial aid offer isn't enough to pay his balance after his scholarship. Can we increase it, or do we have to apply for a different loan? And if so, which one?
The Department of Education sets lending limits for undergraduate student borrowers. So the amount we offered on the financial aid offer is the maximum that your student can borrow for this year. So each year that maximum could change based on your student's grade level in college. So we cannot increase the amount of the student loan, the federal student loan, because that is the maximum that the student can borrow. If the parent absolutely does not want to borrow the PLUS loan, that's completely your choice. We do not maintain a preferred lender list, but there are several private alternative lenders. So we just ask that you do your research online to determine if one of those would be a good choice for you. Usually the Parent Plus loan is a lower interest rate, but you know, do your research and see if that's a better option for your family. I can tell you, we don't have a preferred lender list, so I'm not going to say you should borrow from this particular lender. So you really need to kind of look into those yourself to see if that's a good idea. Some popular ones include Sallie Mae, PNC Bank, Discover Student Loans, and College Avenue. So those are some popular ones that come to mind that lots of our students use. And for that type of loan, the student will most likely need a cosigner. So many times the parent's name is going to be on it anyway. But that's kind of your next step for loans.
Thank you. So can I ask a clarifying question, Karen?
Sure.
So if you have a Parent Plus loan for another child at a different institution, you can still take out another one?
Yes.
Another Parent Plus?
Yes.
Okay.
It does require a new master promissory note. So each student, even if you have two students in one school, they each have to have their own master promissory note because it does link to the student's social security number as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So are there alternatives if my parents have been denied a Parent Plus loan for undergraduate students?
If a parent is declined, which means the parent went online and did the application and got the decline, we can't just say, I know it's going to be declined and move forward. But if the parent actually applies and is declined, then the student can borrow an additional $4,000 on the unsubsidized student loan. That's the maximum, and it's only after after a parent has been declined. Alternately, if the parent has someone willing to endorse the Parent Plus loan, that's another option. So if you go on studentaid.gov and it says you're declined, it should give you the option to say, I have an endorser. And then your endorser would do what's called an Endorser Addendum, which is also at studentaid.gov. And that's co-signing the parent loan. You can't have both though. So based on the decline, if we increase the student's unsubsidized loan and then you get an endorser, the increased unsubsidized loan goes away. It goes back to the original amount. So if the parent loan becomes approved at a later time, then the student doesn't get to keep that increased loan amount.
Thank you. So the next question, Karen, that we have submitted is, when will we know if or what our federal loan was approved?
So you can know immediately if you do the application process at studentaid.gov. And as I mentioned on an earlier slide, right now the 21 to 22 year is not yet available, but you can go ahead and do the application for the 2020 to 21 academic year, and it will still run your credit check. You'll get an immediate response if you're approved or declined. We will begin originating loans in the summertime. We have to wait until June when we have the ability to start originating loans for the coming year. When I start that process, I will receive response files that let me know that you've completed the application process and that your master promissory note is on file. Or alternately, if you haven't done those steps, I'll receive a response that says you haven't yet. And at that point, we would get in touch with you to let you know you're missing something.
Thanks. What is an entrance interview or entrance counseling? I know you kind of talked about it earlier, Karen, but if you don't mind to just kind of remind us.
Sure. So all new student borrowers are required to complete entrance counseling, and that's done at studentaid.gov. And as I mentioned before, it has to be the student who completes it. The student is who's logged in using the student's FSA ID to do that. It helps the student understand that they're borrowing. They understand the loans. It helps them, it guides them to make a budget and look at how much loans they will borrow the complete 4 years they're in school and that sort of thing, so that they're looking at the big picture and understand, you know, the result of borrowing these funds.
Okay. The next question is turning to scholarships, outside scholarships. What date do outside scholarships, if any granted, need to be sent in to Lees-McRae College?
That's another one that I would say as soon as possible, simply because the student account is not going to reflect those funds until we receive them. So if your student has been granted an outside scholarship and has a letter or a certificate or something that says, congratulations, you're getting this scholarship, if you will share that with my office, we will put it on the student's aid screen in a pended status, but pended aid will not transmit to the student account to pay toward their balance. So when we actually receive the check, that's when the status changes and it's actually applied to the student account. So if we get them early, then it can be applied before payment is due on the student account. So it helps you ultimately with your out-of-pocket expense if we get the scholarship check earlier.
Add to your answer to Karen, and those of you who are committed to Lees-McRae College and have access to the new student portal, under the Prepare for Billing tab with the Financial Aid tab, you will find step-by-step instructions in how to submit an outside scholarship to Lees-McRae and to Karen in the Financial Aid office. So that information is in there as well. Our next question, Karen, is what is the difference between the Office of Financial Aid and the Office of Student Accounts?
Lots of times students and parents get us confused. So the Office of Financial Aid processes scholarships, grants, loans, and work study. So you could think of it that we give money. The Office of Student Accounts processes tuition bills, collects payments. They handle the student's payment plan. So if you think of Office of Financial Aid gives money, Student Accounts takes your money. So they handle all tuition charges. If you have questions about the student bill, anything like that, or payment plan questions, that's handled by the Office of Student Accounts.
Perfect, thank you. The next question asks, does Lees-McRae have any type of semester or monthly payment plans to keep the loans as low as possible? If it's okay with you, I'll take this one, Karen. This is more on the side of the Office of Student Accounts, like Karen was just mentioning. We do have a payment plan. It is, or Lees-McRae partners with Nelnet, Campus Commerce, and in this payment plan, you can begin enrolling as early as May, and you will make installments each month through the month of October. So it is important to know, and I don't want to get too far into billing. Well, they'll have their own virtual information session, but they do bill semester by semester. So you will just be receiving a bill for the fall semester and then another one for the spring semester. So the Nelnet payment plan has you essentially pay your fall semester by October before you start to register for the spring semester. The payment plan, if you want to send me an email, I would be more than happy to give you the details about the the different enrollment periods. The next question is, when will the tuition bill be due? And I'll answer that one as well. So your Lees-McRae fall semester tuition bill is due on the first Friday in August, and that this year is August 6th. And again, just to say that again, so Lees-McRae is has a paperless billing system, so you will not get a bill in the mail. Instead, you will be able to view your bill in Montabus, which is one of our self-service student accounts. And then when it's time for your spring semester bill, that will also be the first Friday in January. So you will want to look into that. That is all, Karen, for our pre-submitted. So I'm going to turn my attention over here to some of the questions. We've got some good ones that were submitted in the chat. So I'm just going to start from the top and work our way down. And I think maybe we'll see if we can get them all in the next 10 minutes. Okay. All right. So the first question submitted is, with the Parent Plus loan, when will the 21-22 school year open? And I know you mentioned that, but if you'll just refresh us again.
Sure. So it's usually in mid-April. There's not really a definite date that they let us know that it's going to roll forward, but it's usually mid-April when they open up the new year. But as I said earlier, you can go ahead and do the application process for the 20-21 academic year, and it does the same thing. We will still originate the loan for the appropriate year, which is when it will disperse. So it will still be accurate.
The next question is, are there any other Lees-McRae scholarship opportunities for fall 2021 admission?
In general, there are usually not any additional ones other than the ones that are offered on the initial financial aid offer. Unless your student is, so we have some, like the Presbyterian scholarship, there are some particular scholarships that require a separate application, but it has strict criteria. But you're welcome to look at those on the Lees-McRae website. Under the financial aid page, you'll see the types of scholarships offered at Lees-McRae. So you can look into those and see if any of those may qualify.
I'm going to add to this, in addition to these, the outside scholarships that Lees-McRae has listed under the financial aid section, it is also wise for your student to explore any national scholarship opportunities. There's a lot of free national scholarship search engines that you can look into and apply. And while it is a scholarship that's available across the nation, I still think it's worthwhile to put some time into some of those scholarships that really fit your particular student and try, because chances are there are times when no one applies for the scholarship. So it is worth looking into that. I would also highly recommend for you to look at your college access site within your home state. I can't speak to the other states outside of North Carolina, but if you go to Google, you can just do college access plus higher ed, and it should bring up your college access site. Here in North Carolina, we have the College Foundation of North Carolina. They have a comprehensive list of scholarships available to students in the state of North Carolina. And if you live in Western North Carolina, in addition, there's the College Foundation of Western North Carolina that also has scholarships. And you may have some in your part of the state as well. So that's a great resource available to you if you're in North Carolina.
I also always like to mention that you look into local scholarships right in your own hometown. Yes. So if your student is affiliated with churches or civic organizations, even employers, sometimes the parent's employer has a scholarship, or even if the student's employed part-time at KFC or anywhere, sometimes they offer scholarships as well. So I always encourage that you look in your hometown too.
Yes, good suggestion. The next question is health insurance included in the total cost?
No, we do not provide health insurance for students here.
Thank you. If the next question I see is, if my child only takes 12 credit hours, the NC need-based scholarship is $500.
It's reduced by $500 for the semester your child is in 12 credit hours. It's worth an extra $500 if your student is in 15 hours for the semester. And on the financial aid offer, we go ahead and offer the larger amount on the assumption that your student will take advantage of that. So we assume the student will be in 15 credit hours a semester, so we go ahead and offer the higher amount. But if by the end of drop add they're in less than 15, if they're in between 12 to 15 credit hours, 12 to 14 rather, then the scholarship will be reduced by $500 for that semester. And that happens actually after tuition is due. So that's why I don't want it to be a surprise to anyone, because tuition is due before the semester starts. Drop adds that whole first week of classes. So if your student drops a class and is in 12 to 14 credit hours by the end of drop add, we reduce that scholarship and then you owe another $500 on the student account as a result.
Okay. Will we be billed by semester or for the whole year? I'll take that one. You are billed by semester. When Karen was walking us through the financial aid offer, she was sharing how financial aid is offered for the whole year. And so billing is by semester. So using your financial aid offer, you can deduce into what is your remaining balance, but just know that half of that will be due in August and the other half will be due in January.
And the reason for that is because when the student registers for classes, that is what generates their accurate charges. And so on the financial aid offer, we provide standard costs for your planning purposes. We don't know at this point what your student will be registered for yet. And so that's just standard cost. But when the student actually registers for classes, that's what generates their actual charges. So if they have additional course fees and that sort of thing, that's why they're billed on a semester basis after they are registered for actual classes.
The next question is in reference to the Parent Plus loan. Does the student have to complete the loan counseling if the parent is taking out the Parent Plus loan?
The student only has to complete loan counseling if the student is borrowing the federal student loans. So if your family has decided the student is going to decline the student loans and only the parent is going to borrow the Parent Plus loan, then the loan entrance counseling for the student would not be required.
Okay, this next question asks, is there a way to make predetermined payments to Lees-McRae each month that are not loans through the government? So I'm going to start, I'm thinking that maybe the student is asking, can they start to pay on their remaining balance now or as soon as they're committed? And the answer is we actually won't have our students' bills ready until April 1st. And once you see that generate in Montabus, you may see your financial aid pending there, but, and yes, you can make a payment to our student accounts office to start working against that. It will show as a credit to the account. And so that's how that works. Otherwise, I think that the other and better, safer option is to do through the NELNet payment plan starting in May rather than in April. So I would maybe go that route, but that's my opinion. I think for maybe that question, it would be good to get in touch with our Office of Student Accounts. Karen, is there anything you wanted to add with that?
Just one thing to note, if they choose to make a payment toward the account in April before the NELNet plan is available in May, then you later decide in May that you want to set up the payment plan. The way the payment plan works is it takes your remaining balance due and divides it equally into monthly payments. So even if you've made a payment in April, while that reduces your total balance, it's not going to be like its own payment necessarily, because when you set up the payment plan in May, it's going to say, here's your remaining balance divided by X number of months, and this is going to be your payment amount regardless of if you paid some in April. So it's not going to necessarily look like April counts as a qualifying payment. I hope that made sense. I don't know if I explained that very clearly.
I think so. I think so. The next question asks, is there only one meal plan, or are there choices with different costs? I'm happy to talk about this one as well, Karen. For incoming freshmen, there is only one meal plan. There's really only one meal plan for all our students, and they don't have to do any steps or take any action steps to enroll in the meal plan. It is unlimited. If you are committed in your new student portal under Residence Life, there is a meal plan tab that you can read some more about this. But essentially, your child has an unlimited meal access to the dining hall, and then a declining balance fund for the Einstein's Bagelry and for the pod on campus. And I think I'm leaving one other place out, but there's another eatery on campus, and your student can eat there. I think each student gets a certain amount of money automatically put on their card each semester. Should they move into a different residence hall as they become an upperclassman and more residence halls are available to them, sometimes there's a different meal option because the residence hall is equipped with a kitchenette, and that is the only exception on campus for that. The next question is there a way to get my child on work study? And if so, how much will this contribute towards the cost of tuition, room, board, etc.?
So we have very limited funding for work study. First of all, let me mention that it is federally funded, and the Department of Education sets our limit on federal work study. So we have very limited funding for that. So what we are doing this year is we have a waiting list. So when your student begins class here at Lees-McRae, if the student will let us know that they are interested in work study, we will add him or her to our waiting list. And then if we have the funding to offer it, we will let the student know on their Lees-McRae email that they have the opportunity to apply for a work study job. The way work study works at Lees-McRae is it does not automatically go toward their student account. So it will not contribute to tuition at all unless the student uses their work study paycheck to pay toward their tuition, which could mean if, for example, your family signs up for the Nelnet payment plan and the student provides the paycheck to help pay toward that payment plan, or perhaps the student uses that paycheck to reimburse the parent for paying their tuition. That's the only way that it would be contributed, because at Lees-McRae, the way the work study program works is it's pretty much typically like a part-time job. So the student works and they are paid an hourly rate, minimum wage, based on the hours that they work. There is a limit. So our students can work up to $1,600 a year, which is $800 per semester is the maximum they can earn based on minimum wage working on campus. But it is paid directly to them biweekly as a paycheck.
The next question is, what is the earliest date we can pay for the fall semester? I think that goes back to maybe enrolling in the payment plan in May. But once you are committed to Lees-McRae, you should be able to view your bill in Montevis beginning April 1st. And I'd be happy if you want to reach out to get you in touch with our student accounts office. The next question is for an international student. I'll read it, Karen, but I'm thinking we might need to refer this one to Kelly Shira.
Probably Kelly, yes.
Is our international admissions counselor, and is very good and very knowledgeable about this information. It's asking about visa applications. Is that something we should direct to Kelly?
Yes,
Okay.
I would suggest.
I will go ahead and take that question. I've got your email address, and we'll get that with Kelly Shira, and she'll be in touch with you soon. Sorry, we are not able to answer that this evening. The next question is, what is the site for North Carolina? But I'm not quite sure I understand the question, Karen.
I don't know if she's asking about CFNC or ncresidency.org for the North Carolina Need-Based Scholarship Residency Determination. I'm not sure exactly what the question is referring to.
I think you got it with the NC residency. I didn't think about that. So that
it may be, I guess that's what the question is. ncresidency.org is where the student will complete the residency determination service process for the North Carolina Need-Based Scholarship.
So the next question says, when my son is applying for other scholarships, is he considered a first-generation college student if I'm currently in school myself working on a bachelor's degree?
That's a good question. I suppose the answer would be yes until you have actually graduated. What do you think, Libby? That's just my personal opinion.
I would think so. And I want to say that the FAFSA application does not take into consideration when a parent is in college. Is that an accurate statement, Karen?
That's true. That is true.
So I would think yes. Technically, your student would still be considered a first-generation college student. Does the college accept cash payments in person from students? Yes, they do. And just to add to that, you can actually, in person, you can pay by cash, check, or money order, but we are not able to do a credit card or check card in person. So please do make arrangements if there is any payment in person that it is a cash, check, or money order. You may pay by credit card or check card through Montibus and pay that electronically, but in person, cash, check, or money order. What is the interest rate of the unsubsidized loan?
It's actually not set yet for next year. Let me grab my notes and I can tell you the current rate, but it is going to change. They set those in July. So it's currently 2.75 for student loans, and it's 5.3% for Parent Plus loans currently. However, it will change in July, which is when they will set it for the coming academic year. So that's not necessarily what it's going to be in August when your loans disperse. So that will change. That is subject to change. That's just what it currently is. So that's kind of a good guideline because it usually doesn't change very drastically.
The next question is, what was the website, the North Carolina website for potential scholarships? And that one that I mentioned was the College Foundation of North Carolina, CFNC.org. And they do have a comprehensive list of scholarships available for students in the state of North Carolina. You may also, like Karen said, just as a reminder, definitely check with your guidance counselor's office or your student services office to find out if there's anything available to students in your county, within your high school or your community, and then also reach out to different organizations within your community as well. If you accept the loan that is added to scholarships, is that the total amount that is needed to cover the semester cost?
I'm not sure if I understand that question completely. So if the question is asking if you accept the loans on the financial aid offer, as well as the scholarships and also the Parent Plus loan, normally if the student is a dependent student with parents, we offer the Parent Plus loan. And so when we do that, we offer enough on the Plus loan to cover standard charges. As I mentioned, the $40,440 is standard cost. So if you have any additional charges on your account, that can fluctuate slightly. This is for planning purposes. So normally it is, but you really should do the math yourself. For independent students who do not have a parent on their FAFSA, We can't offer a Parent Plus loan, and so the student loans are not always necessarily enough to cover all the charges. So just be aware of that, and definitely do the math. Look at your financial aid offer, do the math, and look at those figures, because you'll see the cost information provided at the top. Subtract what you've been offered and see if there's still a remaining balance.
Thanks. The next question and the last question for the evening is, can we pay tuition online with a credit card? And if so, is there an added fee? And I'm happy to take this one. Yes, you can pay with a credit card online through Montabus. There is a 2.7% convenience fee when you pay by credit or check card. However, if you are able to pay by e-check, there is no convenience fee added. So I'm happy to walk any family through that step. It's a very simple process. I just learned it myself, how to make a check, an electronic check. So I can help anyone with that who would like to try to do it e-check. Okay, so over here, I would like to remind everybody about some upcoming virtual event dates that we have. On April 6th, if you are newly committed or if you plan to commit to Lees-McRae soon and receive your Lees-McRae student accounts, I will be doing a virtual information session on your new student accounts April 6th at 7 p.m. It will be just like this evening, where you will receive an email with the meeting ID and the passcode, and no registration is necessary. And so I'll be happy to walk you through. It's a great way to get oriented to your new accounts and off in the right direction. The next event after that, we will be co-hosting with the Burton Center for Student Success. They are our campus resource for our students. They house, our tutoring, our writing center, and all of our wonderful academic supports within the Bobcat community. They will also be talking about the scheduling component for the fall semester, mentioning the different aspects of it, what you can expect in a first semester schedule, as well as items that we need from you. That is April 13th at 7 p.m. This will again be a virtual information session as similar to this evening. The last event is Prepare for Billing and Student Accounts. And this will be, I mentioned it earlier, this will be with our student accounts and our business affairs office. They will be presenting on the Nelnet payment plan, billing options, billing deadlines, and Montabus, where you will use that account to pay towards that bill if you have one. So that will be hosted on May 11th at 7 p.m. So we do hope to see you there. The details for each of these events will be coming to you by email. Your student gets an email, usually a couple emails about each of these events, as do our parents if we have their email on file. If you are not sure if your email's on file, the Office of Admissions or myself would be more than happy to double check on that for you if you need to update an email address or see if yours is correct, if you did not get an email about tonight's event. I want to just say once again, thank you so much for coming this evening. I know that financial aid can be an overwhelming task, especially if this is your first time coming to college. So whatever we can do after this evening, we are happy to meet with you individually and talk with you through your steps, as well as through anything on your financial aid offer. You are more than welcome to reach out to myself or to Karen King. if you do reach out to Karen King, email is probably the best and quickest way. And for me, you are more than welcome if you want to talk at length to set up an appointment using my Calendly link, as well as call or texting me in my office. So thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful evening. If you are in the part of the state that's getting some bad weather, be safe. And I look forward to working with all of you. Thanks again. Good night.
Thank you.